Welcome to Pandom's Playthroughs, where I play Lord of the Rings the Living Card Game, two-player progression series, where I play this game throughout its chronological order. Come join me on our first scenario, The Passage Through Mirkwood. Alright, let's go. Passage Through Mirkwood 1A, Flies and Spiders. You are travelling through Mirkwood Forest, carrying an urgent message from King Thandril to Lady Galadriel of Lorien. As you move along the dark trail, the spiders gather around you. Alright, set up. Search the encounter deck for one copy of Forest Spider and one copy of the Old Forest Road and add them to the staging area. Then shuffle the encounter deck. Inside 1B, the nastiest things they saw were the cobwebs. Dark, dense cobwebs with threads of extraordinarily thick and often stretched from tree to tree, or tangled in the lower branches from either side of them. There were none stretched across the path, but whether because some magic kept it clear, or for what other reason, they could not guess. This is a 8 to attack, 1 defense, 4 health spider with a force effect. After Forest Spider engages the player, it gets 1 plus attack to the end of the round. So this is going to be pretty nice in the staging area to get rid of at the start. And then let's look at Old Forest Road. Old Forest Road is a 1 threat, 3 quest point location with a response after you travel to Old Road. Ready a hero that controls. Alright, so let's look at this now. Look at our heroes. So first off, we have Eowyn, which is a 9 threat, 4 willpower, 1 strength, 1 defense, and 3 health hero. Noble Rohan, with an action, discard 1 card from your hand to give Eowyn +1 until the end of the phase. It may be triggered by each player each round. Next up we have Eleanor. Eleanor, thanks to my thumb, is a 7 threat, 1 spirit, 1 attack, 2 defense hero with 3 health, Gondor Noble, and has the keyword response. Exhaust Eleanor to cancel the when revealed effects of a treachery card, just when revealed by the encounter deck. Then discard that card and replace it with the next card from the encounter deck. We have Legolas, Tactics Legolas, 9 threat, 1 spirit or willpower, 3 attack, 1 defense, 4 health, with noble, sylvan, and warrior keywords. Has printed ranged. A response after Legolas participates in an attack that destroys an enemy, place 2 progress tokens on the current quest. So he's going to be very handy to helping out the other deck with the ranged keyword. Second player, we have Tactics Aragon, one of the staples, 12 threat, 2 willpower, 3 attack, 2 defense with 5 health. His Dunedain Noble Ranger has the word Sentinel, and as a response, after Aragon commits to a quest, spend 1 resource from his resource pool to engage him. His counterpart with that, 8 threat leadership Theodred with 1 spirit willpower, 2 attack, 1 defense, and 4 health with the keywords Noble, Rohan, and Warrior. Response. After Theodred commits to a quest, choose a hero committed to that quest. Add 1 resource to that hero's pool. And that works very nicely with Aragon. And finally, the Steward of Gondor, the Law Sphere Denethor, with 8 threat, 1 willpower, 1 attack, 3 defense, and 3 printed health. Has the keywords Gondor, Noble, and Steward. Action, exhaust Denethor to look at the top of your card of the encounter deck. You may move that card to the bottom of a deck. That peeking ability comes in very handy when I remember to use it. Alright, let's get started and draw some cards. See here that I've got my gold deck, which will be my leadership lore deck, and I have the red sleeve deck, which is my tactics and spirit deck, which is handy, which is good there. Across the top there you have my engagement area. In addition to that, I have these 3D printed threat trackers, which have 4 hero slots. You can see there, single digit resources, and then the threat count on the right hand side. So I'm just setting 1 to start with, and then placing the Valiant threat on the right hand side. I'll just give my encounter deck a shuffle per the setup. I retrieve those cards as requested, and then I shuffle the encounter deck, which I'm doing on screen just to make sure this is all above board. Alright, so we're going to get started here. What I'm looking for in my tactics deck is things like the Horn of Gondor, Unexpected Courage, look at that, perfect Horn of Gondor, Wandering Took, which is handy for a bit of questing. There's a Will of the West there. There's the Unexpected Courage as handy. And look at that Blade of Gondolin, which is really good to get that engine on Legolas going. Now, It's a great little starting hand there. It's a cheap starting hand. And if I look at here, I'm looking for a Steward of Gondor, potentially things like that. Minor of the Iron Hills. There's the Steward of Gondor. Fantastic. The Minor Iron Hills will help me get rid of any Caught in a Web encounter cards that come out, the Treachery cards. I am going to use the Sigil White Tree of Gondor from the Cardboard of the Ring swag as my first player counter, putting it on my Spirit deck to start with, and then the Threat Tracker across this beautiful Cardboard of the Rings playmat. Now, this is the first time I've used a Threat Tracker horizontally for against Quest and Willpower, so give me a go with this. So I'm going to open up and put that, spend 2 and put Unexpected Courage against Alinor. And I'm going to put the Blade of Gondolin onto Legolas, which gives me the ability to do +1 damage to orcs. And you can see there that's happening quite nicely. On the second hand, I am going to play Steward of Gondor, obviously, and put that onto Aragon, which will help increase his ability to generate resources, which is the most powerful card in the game, I suspect. Which will then I will exhaust and put out. I believe I put out. Put up properly, spend it properly, do the right thing, right? Put your resources in, play the ally there, and then I am going to remove that from my hand, or my resource token. Cool, so I've got an ally out, which will help me quest a bit there. Guarding the Citadel is nice 2-cost ally, very easy to use. I'm going to use the progress trackers as exhaust tokens. So I'm going to set up the staging areas so there's going to be Aeon questing for 4, questing for 2, Theodred questing for 1, leveraging the fact that Theoden can provide a resource to someone else to come into the quest, which I'll give to Aragon, which I will then use to ready him up while questing. I did move the exhausted token onto Steward of Gondor just to make sure I've done it properly, because I don't turn my cards. Right, so you saw that there from before. Alright, so we go there against the Willpower in the staging area of 7. Again, 3, sorry. I've got my other token there, so against the 3. And I've drawn a Necromancer's Reach, which is one of the worst treacheries in this starter encounter deck. But Alinor to the rescue, where I can use her ability to exhaust her, and cancel that treachery card with her revealed effect, and I put that one in the discard pile and draw a new card. I then ready her again with Unexpected Courage, so she's ready to face potentially another one. We get Dolgador Beastmaster, which is not as scary here. The second encounter card is the Mountains, which is a location that adds quite substantially to the threat there, the Mountains of Mirkwood. However, it's not as scary as some of the other cards in this deck. So that's good there. So we are currently questing for 7, and I have a threat in the staging area of 7. So 2, 2, 1, 2, which means I will make no progress, which is okay to start with. I'm then going to travel to Old Forest Road. I'm having a deliberation here, where I'm going to travel to Old Forest Road, assign it to the active location, and be ready for that next turn, which means I can look to, when I clear that, be ready up one of my players. So let's looking at now who I'm going to optionally engage in the attack phase, encounter phase. I'm going to encounter phase. I'm going to optionally attack that there, which gives a +1 to the attack of that Forest Spider. That Forest Spider is hitting a little bit harder for 3. I'm going to give it a resource icon here. I should use a dice for 1, but I'm going to defend that most likely with Denethor. And here I go, assign the Shadow card to the Forest Spider. So let's see what it does here. I've exhaust Denethor to defend. It's using 3 against an attack of 3, so hoping this whiffs here. And let's see what happens. We flip. And it whiffs the location, which is nice. So hits a 3, gets nothing there. And here Aragon and Legolas will attack. And so I get +1 because it's an orc, but it's not an orc, so that's good. So what it'll do here is it's 3 damage from Legolas +3 from Aragon is 6, and it's enough to absolutely, definitely destroy the spider. And away we go. So that's 6, it's destroyed, no worries there. Now this is where first round, I forget to do Legolas's ability where he gets to add 2 to the active location. So this here should have been 3 placed on the active location, but I placed 1 because I was not getting a hand on this streaming thing whilst playing. So I didn't place 2 tokens on the current quest. However, I catch myself later and go, oh, bummer, and keep myself going again. So new round, we bump up a threat, add the resources. You can see here I've automatically added Steward of Gondor to Aragorn's resource pool. I'll add an exhaust token to Steward of Gondor, and I move the first player token across. Yep, there we go there. Well done, Anthony. And there, so we drop a Will of the West, which is another one. And in this card here, we draw a Sneak Attack, which is handy. Now, do note there are no Gandalfs in this deck. I didn't want to go full power deck out of the core box, but this is a pretty decent deck here. So we can use it to apply someone later in the game, someone more expensive. But out of your core box, you'd probably use Gandalf or Bayon, but we don't use them in these decks. Alright, so at this stage, I'm going to play Heal Denethor. No, not Heal Denethor, sorry. What am I going to do here? We're going to play... See, I'm keeping the Miner of the Iron Hills usually for when the encounter comes out. What's it called? There's a Caught in a Web, which can hurt. So I'm going to spend 3 here. Spend 3, and I will put out the Archer. So the Silverlord Archer will come out and provide ranged. So if I need to attack or need to worry about the other area, I've got some coverage there. The goal about 2 players, nice, is that I have options, which is really good. The second player, or this player on the left-hand side here, is going to play Wandering Took for 2 Spirit and Horn of Gondor onto Legolas. So I'll get out an ally. Now, the Wandering Took's handy. It lets me do a bit of threat manipulation between the 2 players. However, for me, it's just another questing character. I'm playing with the revised core Horn of Gondor, which means that when a character is destroyed, add 1 resource pool to the attached hero's pool. Alright, so we're going to tidy up this area. We're going to see what we can do here. Got nothing to enhance my spirit here. I could, if I wanted to, discard cards to boost Eowyn, but I don't do that yet. So we're going to quest here. We're going to need against 8 against the quest and 2 against active location. And we've got a staging area of 4. I'm going to withdraw 2 cards here. I'm going to send along Eowyn for 4. We'll send along the Wandering Took, makes it 5. And then we'll add in doing the Theodred committing Aragon readying trick for another 3. So we'll be questing for 8. You can almost feel the maths happening in my head at this time, right? You can see it there happening. First card, Caught in a Web. I knew this was coming. Now, if I was paying attention, I could have negated this right now with Eleanor's ability, but I don't. This is one of the trickiest ones, so I do not ready in the refresh phase. I wear this for a turn. This is where Miner of the Iron Hills is fantastic to get out this card and remove a condition in play, which is exactly what this card is. It's not great. I put it on Theodred because I feel like I need to have everyone else ready. If I miss Theodred, well, I'm only losing resources to attack, and Steward of Gondor can pay for Aragon to ready up with 1 resource. So I have the ability to cover this hole in my economy. Cool, I've drawn Necromancer's Pass, the second card, which puts the combined value of the threat in the staging area to 7, which means I make 1 progress, huzzah. Beautiful. Which is good. There is that done there. Now we move to the travel phase, which we don't travel because I have a location card already there. So I'm going to bring out the Dol Guldur Beastmaster, and it has the ability to have when it attacks, it's going to get granted an additional shadow card. It's going to hit for 2 extra shadow cards, which could be good or could be bad. So I'm going to defend this with Denethor should be the defender on this one. And you're going to defend for 3 against it there, against 3 attack. Now this may hurt me. We'll see what comes up. Flip location and Elbite Road, which gives a plus 1 to that there, which means 1 damage goes through. Cool. So he's been hit for 1. And then I'm going to attack with the combined value of Aragon, Silverlord Archer, as well as Legolas here. Because I'm like doing my maths and go, hang on, I need to add Legolas, which is good. So I've killed the Orc with Legolas. I'm just having a pause here while I process that through my head. So he's not in on it there. See, Legolas doing that there, getting a +1 attack, and also being able to put 1 progress on the active location, which clears Old Forest Road, which readies up a hero. Not that I need another hero readied up, but there we go. So let's clean up the board state, and we'll go around again. So, we draw a card, and for the Spirit deck, I will get Galadriel's Greeting, and we get Erebor Forge Master, which is a super card for drawing attachments out of the discard pile. Alright, so knowing that I have that attachment on me, I will play, and I've also had to re-exhaust him because I realised that I couldn't ready up. So Theodred is still exhausted. I spend 2 lore here to play. I've got to actually do this in right order. I get excited here. You can see that there. So just the cards there. I put Unexpected Courage on when I do that. Unexpected Courage, sorry. Shoot a Gondor on when I do that there. As you can see, now I play left-hand side first. First player again is back. Don't have much here. I've got 2 Wheels of the West and Galadriel's Greeting and a Brand. So this hand, I just focus on tidy out the exhausted toker on Eowyn. And I'm going to play the second hand, so nothing from the first hand, and then play Mine of the Iron Hills, which lets me withdraw a condition attachment when it comes in. That's the big thing about it. The other being actually just a sturdy all-rounder with 1/1/1/2. The ability to clear that attachment, which means I can get rid of Caught in a Web, which is the whole idea of playing it. And I clicked for a second, like, oh, that's right, Anthony, you should be doing that. The night that I did record this, it was 37 degrees outside, and I work in a loft, and it's quite warm. So I was a bit of brain fade here. So I'll take it off in a second. You can see there that I think there's nothing else to play on that card to do anything there, so I'll leave that there, and I will get started on this round. Times, yeah, click it there. Should remove that one. But don't worry, there's a couple of those in the encounter deck. You can see here, what we've got here is going to exhaust some plays here. So Aragon is being exhausted, using the trick to ready him up. I do think on this turn I do actually forget to ready him up, which I wear. So I've got Aragon, Eowyn, Wandering Took, that are all making progress here. So it's 4 from Eowyn, 1 from the Wandering Took, plus 2 extra from Aragon, which gives me 7, against what's in the staging area now, which is 5. The Mountains giving 2, the Necromancer's Pass giving that there, and me going, oh no, I've got another one of these Caught in a Web treacheries, which is a pain. And it takes me a second to realise I could be cancelling that. And I draw another Forest Spider, which is not awful, right? So that boosts everything up to 7 as well, and I've got 8. So I commit the Silverlode Archer. So that's not awful. Could be worse. And then I'm sitting there going, oh, that's just 2 Caught in the Webs now is not bad compared to getting it later potentially with the Ungoliant the spawn out. So, all right, we're going to see what we can do here for the attack side. Given that the leadership and defense of these 2 decks is mostly on the Aragon's deck with a bit of Sentinel, I could do a bit of defensiveness if I need to cross over, but I don't. However, I am going to look at the active location I want to take, and looking at the mountains there, I think that from this one here, I am going to travel to the mountains. No, beg your pardon, not mountains, it's Necromancer's Pass. Necromancer's Pass asks me to do a bit of that there. So Necromancer's Pass is a 3-set location with 2 quest points, and the first player must discard 2 cards in his hand from random before they travel here. So I've discarded 2 cards, which one was the Brand and one was Will of the West, which is not an awful thing there. So I've optionally engaged the Spider here. Choosing optional here, 1 per player, and I've had the second player who's going to optionally engage that Spider. So Spider's going to attack with a +1. Denevor is going to defend. It cops a Shadow card, so it's +1/3, +1 there, so it actually will wound Denethor again. I realised that I'd knocked off my wound from before, so I put the second one back on there. There you go, so you've got 2 wounds. Great. Alright. Aragon's going to... This is where I didn't ready him up. I'm like, oh no, I didn't ready him up. What's going on? But I'm doing 3 4, 5 attack, which kills it anyway. So I was able to do that without having to retcon that there, which is good. Wouldn't have changed game state. I would have most likely readied him up, but just something to be mindful of. Here I go, hang on, this is where I get the progression. Cool. From the Blade of Gondolin, I get +1 on the active location. After attached hero attacks and destroys an enemy, place 1 progress on the current quest, which is really nice. But here, if I realised about Legolas's thing, I could have cleared that already and be gone. It takes me a moment to realise that. I think it's around 3 or 4 that I realise I was making a mistake. So one thing about playing this here as I reset, bump up everyone's threat by 1, is that I've played most of this game solo, and you build decks to get around that each scenario. The options that open up with 2 is fantastic. Things like Sentinel, ranged, having a deck focus on questing or focus on attacking, defending is really nice. Really, really good. So you can see here now I've exhausted Unexpected Courage. Sorry, Unexpected Courage, I keep calling it that. Steward of Gondor to add some resources to Aragorn's pool. Draw some cards here. Draw a Wandering Took, and I draw a Protector of Lorien. Protector of Lorien's a fantastic dump, which will end up being quite nice towards the end, as I dump some extra cards into it. And here I'm looking to play something here to give me some extra ability here. I think, given that Denethor has 3 health, and the Protector of Enlargerus heals all damage against the hero, I am going to use that and protect good old mate Denethor. He's too many cherry tomatoes. And here I look at my cards here. I haven't got much to play. Getting 2 spirit resources around, I will play a Wandering Took. That gets me 2 +1 willpower Tooks out, which I can use to quest continuously, guaranteeing a minimum of 6 for that hand in the current board state, which is nice. I've got a pretty neat encounter area, engagement area, and I have active location there. Alright, so I'm going to commit the Tooks, so for 2, Eowyn for 4, so 6, Aragon and the Theodred Trick. Well, actually, Theodred Trick I can't do because he's exhausted, but Aragon, and I ready him up for 1 point. You can see I'm spending that off Steward of Gondor, which you can see how insanely powerful this card is. So 6 + 2, which is 8 against the 2 in the staging area, which is not awful. Here I'm umming and ahhing about should I commit anything else to make it a bit more progress, but let's do it here. Alright, so we'll start to draw the encounter cards out. And when I draw these counter cards out, what I need to concern myself with here is what I'm going to pull out. If it's going to be enemies or if it's going to be locations. So the first card comes out, and it is I can't see it with a little bit of glare. It's Forest Gate. Of course, it's Forest Gate, and this is where Forest Gate's 2 threat in the staging area is not too bad. And I do Dol-Guldur Orcs, which means Dol-Guldur Orcs coming out is a card that is when revealed, the first player chooses 1 character currently committed to the quest and deals 2 damage to that character. And dealing 2 damage to that character will mean I don't know what to do. Oh no, here I panic. You can see my brain thinking. And what I do is I misread Eleanor's thing. And I misread Eleanor's thing to discard a when revealed. However, that is not a treachery. So you can see here I've then discarded into Chieftain Uftak, which is a 2/3/3/6 35 engagement cost enemy. Now, he doesn't have a when revealed, so I've made a mistake here. However, upon reflection of this video, watching through it, this doesn't change the board state, because in this turn, I engage and destroy Chieftain Uftak, which you see, which would have yielded a non-different result. So at the end of the day, if it happened I exhausted someone, I would have put 2 damage onto Legolas, who doesn't get hit for the rest of the encounter, or 2 damage onto Eowyn, who doesn't get hit for the rest of the encounter. So therefore, if we would have, whichever way you played out in theory crafted, it would have been fine. So you can see there I made progress against the active location. I have then cleared that active location. I then travelled to the Enchanted Stream. It's not the forest, it's Enchanted Stream. And that Enchanted Stream is now the active location, which I can see there. Give the shadow card to Uftak. Uftak is I'm going to chump block this with the Guardian of the Citadel. I clear out one of those Necromancer's Reach, thankfully. So he gets hit for 3 against him. Bye-bye. The resource counter goes onto Uftak, which increases his next attack, next round, or next phase, by 2. So he'll be hitting for 5 next round. And this is where I use Aragon, I use Legolas, I use Silverlode Archer, I use the Mine of the Iron Hills to attack Uftak. So the net result is it's the same outcome. Played a little wrong. That's something that, yes, I made a mistake on. But I am very nervous on my first live stream. So you can see that there, I exhaust them and count up. I want to make sure I do the best job first time round, or at least a good job. And this is where I go, hang on, Legolas, hang on. Or maybe it's not. No, I just put the 1 encounter pass on it. And I look at Legolas, and I think I read him again here and go, oh, hang on. This is where I can get 3 for killing and engaging with an enemy in the same attack. 2 from Legolas himself, and 1 from the Sword of Gondor, Blade of Gondolin. But it's not this round, as I adjust my pieces there. I actually pay to ready him up here. So you have excess. I had excess resources on him. I paid to ready him up for this round. Bump up 1 to each one. Bump up the threat here. It's on 28. Yeah, and a Northern Tracker, which is nice. This is good. This is the sort of cards I have. Northern Tracker and another Mine of the Iron Hills. Fantastic. So Mine of the Iron Hills, when he gets around it, will clear that existing Caught in a Web. Northern Tracker goes down. Spend the money for that. So I spend the 4, which is 2 from there and 2 from there. Super. Well, it's actually 3 and 1. So what I'm doing here is that Northern Tracker goes out. What that allows me to do then is go, cool, when I commit my Northern Tracker to a quest, place 1 progress token on each location in the staging area. So I've got 3 or 4 of them in the staging area. I'm going to whittle them away, which is lovely. The other option is Lorien Guide in there, which lets me put 1 on the active location. So it helps me clear any location lock that may happen, which can happen when you increase more than 1 player decks. Alright, commit. So that's 1 on the current location staging area on the mountains of Mirkwood, and I'm committing for 7 in the from the left hand side there. So 3 from the allies, 4 from Eowyn, and I will do the Theodred and Aragon trick here. I'll get into the habit, if I use Jewel of Gondor, to do it in line when I'm supposed to. Beautiful. So 3 plus that, so it should be on 10 against the current 2 in the staging area. So let's draw some encounter cards. First one, Dol Guldur Orcs. And I can see here that I am going to take 2 damage on my Northern Tracker, and then retrieve Dol Guldur Beastmaster. So that puts it out to 6. And I'm making against a 10, which gives me 4, which lets me clear the Enchanted Stream. And put 3 under there. I find the 5. Fantastic. Now here's where I need to start clearing out some more enemies out of the area. Alright, so we need to pay the cost to travel there. And the cost to travel to the Mountains of Mirkwood is to reveal a top card of the encounter deck and add it to the staging area. So I withdraw another Mountains of Mirkwood with a 2 threat, 3 will draw, optionally engage Dol Guldur Orcs into the leadership deck, defend that with Denethor, draw the shadow card, and copper Hammerhorns. Now Hammerhorns is, I said Necromancer's Reach was bad, Hammerhorns is worse. Now Hammerhorns is the card that is ability to make or break your entire game. Hammerhorns and the shadow card will do 1 damage to each character the defending player controls, 2 if it's undefended. So I defended that with Denethor. However, everyone's going to cop a little bit of sadness here, and I will lose the Silverlode Archer, goodbye, which lets me put some resources, thanks to the Horn of Gondor, onto Legolas. Not thematic If you want thematic, go watch the Card of the Ring Saga playthrough, but Legolas has borrowed Boromir's horn and giving it a few toots. Now, everyone takes a bit of damage here. You can see if you have lots of ally and low health decks, that could just wipe you, potentially. That's okay. Legolas is engaging here, he's going to shoot. We'll help with Aragon and the others. We're good. Alright, Denethor is pretty good at defending in the core set, which is great. And I'm reading through my cards, making sure I do the triggers here. And I go, hang on, I should have put 2 onto my location, which that's fine. It doesn't wreck anything previously. It just means I would have progressed quicker. And so I put the extra onto my active location, and away we go. And here I'm mental blanking, going, what's going on? But I continue on. So I've passed that there. Beautiful. Now, let's see what we can do here. Yeah, the excess goes onto my quest. Beautiful. So Legolas, got to remember that Legolas allows you to quote, after Legolas participates in an attack that destroys an enemy, place 2 progress on that current quest. Now this would be a good target for unexpected courage, but if you've got multiple defenders, he can keep attacking different enemies. So let's clean that one up and let's go for another round. We haven't made much progress here, but I feel like this deck we're building, sometimes, depending on how this quest unfolds, if you're a first-time viewer, you're in for a treat. But there are 2 pathways. One that's going to be very safe, and one that's going to be very dangerous. If you take the dangerous path, you need to be ready. So we don't know which one we're going to take yet, but let's find out. So I draw a forest snare here. I've got to move my camera a little bit south or hold my deck a bit higher. There we go. So, which is handy for later scenarios in this series. And I drew a quick strike, which is a new attack window in my for my hero in the tactics deck, which is pretty cool. Alright, so we've got pretty good control of the staging area. The quest is progressing. Not too much cards here to use on the spirit side. So what we're going to do here is look at them. Alright, we're going to put down the Erebor Hammersmith. I'm checking here on the other side here my discard pile to see what's in my discard pile, to see if I can actually take advantage of the Erebor Hammersmith. The Erebor Hammersmith lets me, after I play Erebor Hammersmith, return the topmost attachment of any player's discard to their hand. Now, I didn't have any attachments dumped, so it was a bit of a whiff there, but super handy if you've got allies that have dropped attachments or you've had attachments discarded from encounter cards. We're going to commit the same sort of standard again. Eowyn, the 2 Tooks, the Northern Tracker, add 1 to the location in the staging area. So we're committing for 4 plus 3 plus Aragon, which gives us a 10 against the current 4 in the staging area. And we're going to do the Aragon trick. I didn't plan Unexpected Courage this turn, I don't think. And we can all up, because maths is hard, 12, because I'm actually throwing in Erebor Hammersmith as well as Theodred. And draw King Spider. King Spider is a 20 engagement cost, 2 threat, 3 attack, 1 defense, 3 health spider. When revealed, each player must choose to exhaust 1 character he controls. Now, there's no punishment if you don't exhaust it, but sometimes you usually save a hero or character to not exhaust, right? So I've got to pick here and decide which character I'm going to exhaust, and I'm still not sure. I'm still going and arguing who exactly I should be exhausting, and I think what I'm going to do is just exhaust my mate here, and I exhaust, so exhaust Eleanor and use if the carries already are up, and then use Iron of the Mountain Hills, and then I also get the Treachery card, which is Driven by Shadow, which increases each enemy and locations in the staging area by 1 threat or darkness. So that makes it a bit less questing, but I do progress here, and I progress to 2A, a fork in a road. A fork in the road. As you move through Mirkwood, hounded by spiders, the forest path forks before you. 2B reads, unsure of what lies ahead, but spurred by the urgency of your message, you choose a path and proceed. Forced, when you defeat this stage, proceed to one of the chosen path stages at random. This is a 2 quest point thing, so it's a bit of a breather. After this, once we pass this particular quest, we'll have a choice of where we go to next. So a little bit of a breather before we move on. We have a bit of a busy staging area. There's some spiders and Doggador beastmasters chasing us. We need to figure out what we're going to do here so we can progress. So King Spider, I'm going to optionally engage here. Given my threat still at 35, I don't need to worry about the Beastmaster. And I'm going to engage it on the side here and allow Eleanor and others to help, but I'm going to have Aragon Sentinel defend. So Sentinel allows you to defend another player. So he's going to defend across for 2 against a King Spider. So the King Spider has a shadow icon, which is defending player must choose to exhaust one character he controls, which I can exhaust something that doesn't have Sentinel and not attacking, which is the Miner of the Iron Hills, which means I can attack for 4 against the spider and kill the spider, which is fantastic, which also means I trigger 1 point for killing someone on the quest, along with 2 on Legolas, right? Which says I just will cancel out my additional resource there, and I progress. So now I pick one of my optional 3As, right? My optional 3As are here. So here we see us move through the final zone, and that final zone was 1 of 2, and I've got Beyond's Path. So the card reads, the trail winds into one of the darkest, most tangled parts of the forest. And on to 3B, it reads, you attempted to follow a secret hidden trail to avoid the enemy. It's 10 quest points. Players cannot defeat this stage whilst Ungoliant's spawn is in play. If the players defeat this stage, they have won the game. So we're ready up for the second final round. We really want to quest through this hard before we spit out Ungoliant's spawn. This is the safe path. The other path, if you play this scenario multiple times, has lots of legs. So I drop an Unexpected Courage here, and I draw a additional card here for the deck, which allows me to choose to ready up an ally, which I'm okay with at the moment. What I'm going to do here is look at dropping the threat of everyone or play Unexpected Courage. Now, I played Unexpected Courage here on Legolas. In hindsight, maybe Denethor for double tanking. I liked it on Eleanor, so I could double discard treacheries, which are helpful in multiplayer games. So you can see here, now I'm wondering what to do. I am going to play a card here, which I love. This is one of my potential favorite cards, Radagast's Cunning. And what it does is a quest action. So when you quest, you can choose an enemy in the staging area. And until the end of the phase, you don't count it. So I'm trying to quest, don't count its threat. So I'm trying to quest through this thing. I want to try and get 10 in one go. So I'm going to play Aeon. I'm going to play Wandering Tooks. I am going to discard 2 cards here. I'm going to discard Quick Strike, I believe, and Will of the West. 1 card from each player. So I'm going to discard 1 card from each player here. In hindsight, I should have played on this deck Protector of Lorien. On the other hand, I discard up to 3 cards. But hey, you learn, right? So 2 cards go in, boosting the overall will by 2. So 6 on Aeon, 7, 8 from the Tooks, plus 1 from Northern Tracker. Makes it 9. And then Aragon plus Erebor Hammersmith, which is another 4, plus Theodred. Makes it 10. 9, sorry, 13. I can count. Super. Now, if I get unlucky here, and I only draw 1 out of the encounter deck here, but if I've got 2 treacheries, I might be able to do this. So I make 1 in the progress there. The reality is we'll probably end up going 1 more round. But here, if I had played Protector of Lorien on the other side, I could discard up to 3 cards in a phase and have an additional 3 and boosted ourselves to 16. But that's okay. You have some good ways to get rid of cards if you're drawing cards to get rid of them for things, which is nice. So up to 15 there, which is good. And then away we go. So I've added Eleanor. That's right. That's why extra 2 and Legolas. Yeah, I got hungry there. So I got extra there. So the Forest Path and Necromancer's Reach add an additional 5, which means I'm not getting it this round, right? So that's okay. So it's 7 against my 13, which puts 8 on the location, which means we just wrap up and go around again one more time. I think what we do here, looking at everything, I have exhausted heroes everywhere. So that's where I realised, damn, Protector of Lorien could have done it. But hey, as you play this game, you find that you will pick up on your deck more and more. Because I'm creating decks for each cycle. Two of them, some of these cards and combos I haven't played, or I'm tired and I forget. As such, we are there. But we'll just go one more time around. We'll tidy up. But in the meantime, my unexpected courage readies up Legolas, joins in with Aragon, so Denethor defends. Away we go. I forget to travel to the active location, so I just quickly go back and reset and do that because it's not hard to walk it back. That's only one little step. Active location, draw 2 cards. Why not, right? 2 cards there. Look at that. I get the Forest Guide, which is nice. The Lorien Guide, sorry. Which gives me the ability to place one on that active location, which is really handy for my next thing I do. So we go through, we're going to draw it on that side there. I don't know what I'm thinking actually. No, draw it out on that player there. Optional engagement. I love an optional engagement. You get 1 per player per round. And I draw my 2 shadow cards, which I see the Ungoliant Spawn does a shadow card. And Ungoliant Spawn hits hard. So Ungoliant Spawn will remove the ability for certain willpower attacks, which it makes it a bit tricky. So I can see here, increasing my threat from memory. So Ungoliant Spawn, as I look at the card now and read it out to you, Ungoliant Spawn as a shadow card will raise the defending player's threat by 4. So that, in conjunction with the other one there, cause a bit of threat increase, which means I wouldn't be in trouble if I'm drawing up anything on a high threat anymore. But Aragon, Legolas are attacking, and I didn't actually take any damage because it was 3 versus 3, which is nice. So I got meta things happening to me there. So hitting for 5 plus Legolas is a lot. So you can see 1, 2 from the 2 dwarves, which I should have stacked for neatness. Plus Aragon makes it 5. Plus Legolas and the Orc, which is enough to kill it. That's more than enough because it's +1, so it's 4 and 5, so it's 9 damage in total. Will absolutely headshot that Beastmaster as it goes down. I get 3 progress on Forest Gate as I killed it. 1 from Blade of Gondolin, 2 from Legolas. Fantastic. I think I go and add my exhaust tokens because I'm trying to be thorough and get in some good habits. Good habits are sometimes slow. Just be mindful. Then I clean up myself for the final round. We zoom through this bit and we get ourselves to a point where the final round is we're going to quest to win. We need to make 2 more progress to win this. We need to push through the Forest Gate, but we do have in the hand of the Spirit of Eowyn's deck the ability to drop out the Lorien Guide. It costs us 3, but we can play that one out there. So a lot of resources in the other deck and a little bit of there's 0 to 4 in the tactics will be 1, 3, 5. So I'll get out that Lorien Guide, and that will be able to clear the active location because it has 4 with 3 on it, and we're able to put 1 when she commits to a quest, which is super. What we'll see here is that cancels shadows, which would have been nice on some of the attacks, but that's okay. Some pretty good cards in our deck. Things like Hasty Stroke is just one of those cards that's hard to not use. Cancel a shadow effect triggered this combat. Really nice. But out comes Lorien Guide. And we're going to quest for one big finale, big push through. We see the end of the light of the path. We've got the chittering of spiders behind us as we come running towards the end. And that's how I'm picturing this in my head, right? Is that we're running, hustling through the forest to try and get out of the Ungoliant's clutches. The chittering, the webs, everything. I now play Protector of Lorien on Aragon to give me that boost that I need, that I don't need, but I do need. Could have finished this game last round. And sometimes there is a game of rounds where you can miss out on winning a game by 1 round, which is half the fun, right? So you can see that active location there is 3. And this is where I do a bit of it shows off the good part of controlling the staging area. I commit the northern tracker to the staging area, puts the 3rd final amount onto the location in the staging area, which will remove it from the staging area, which is nice. So there goes the 3rd one, and it's removed. And there's my ugly mug sneaking the camera. So that removes that from the staging area, and then the 1 goes on from the Lorien guide onto the active location. So in one fell swoop, I've been able to remove 2 locations and clear my pathway to victory to make it a little bit easier. It also means I don't have to travel to that location, taking on a negative effect. So here I'm questing for 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I believe here I just dump some extra cards into Protector of Lorien as well. Do the Theodred trick, and away we go. I lost my Strudel Gondor attachment in the previous round as well. So 3 gone there. Protector of Lorien has max 3 per phase, which boosts it by 3, up to 16. And if I wanted to, I could discard a card into Eowyn, but it's 16 against 3, and I need to make 2 progress. So Spider and a location, and that is a very solid bursting out of the end of the Mirkwood path. I've run through to freedom, and hopefully that message is getting there. With that, that is our first dual-handed scenario completed in our 2-player revised core. Until next time.